Welcome back to the Have Not Room. I am Ben here with Brian. We unfortunately do not have Chad here to celebrate his Winter Picks big moment on the show, but we are here to talk about Week 5 of Big Brother 27. And what a week! What a wild week we had. Ava as the HOH, somebody who everybody and their mother was like, lock him in for a jury, is now evicted in 3 weeks before jury. Possibly one of the bottom 3 most stupid moves of all time. We got the Julie slap, referencing her slapping Marcellus back in Big Brother 3. A lot to talk about, Ryan.
Yeah, Ben, I am so excited to get into this. Beginning of the week, didn't see this coming. Just like Zach said, he didn't see it coming. I mostly just didn't see him not playing his advantage. A real get out of jail free card just left, in his pocket. Insane. And I think, let's get there, Ben. You're the Big Brother historian on the show. You're the guy who's been there since the beginning. You said already top 3 dumbest moves of all time. I mean, where does this rank for you? Obviously, we're coming directly off of it, so a little bit of recency bias, but good Lord, this was bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's probably 3. I think both Marcellus and Luan are probably still worse, but I think this is a strong 3. I don't really think there's much in competition for that 3 spot over this at this point.
No, I think so. Obviously, Marcellus didn't. The veto was new. We can say that. He didn't have any history to rely on, so maybe we give him a little bit of slack. Not too much, obviously, getting evicted while having the veto. Silver power veto. Then
that's the thing. That was in Big Brother 3. The veto was the regular power of veto was silver. And it didn't work a little different where you could not use the veto on yourself. So you could everyone played in the veto, and then whoever won it could use it to veto another person who was on the block. And at that round where Marcellus won it, that was the first time they implemented the golden power of veto, which is why you have the golden tag on the front of it. And that was one that you could use on yourself when you were on the block. And he won it, and he was on the block, and he was definitely going to get evicted, and then he didn't use it on himself, and then he went home, and he lost the game. And then from that point forward in the history of Big Brother, we only had the golden power of veto.
Yeah, which makes sense. Much better power. Does he get on All-Stars without that? I don't know. So, there's that. But I don't know if we're going to see Zach on an All-Star. Maybe a second chance season.
It's a little different when you do it at the final 5, I think.
Yeah. No, agreed. Luan completely gaslit himself. One of the strangest things I've ever seen in my entire life was one, deciding that there possibly could be a power out there for the returning player, which, Ben, was that a thing?
It was not a thing, as Luan found out upon his exit from the house in Big Brother 13.
So really strong, just deciding that it was a thing and convincing his allies to evict him and really ruining the games of Danielle. And was it Kalia? Was that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really ruining his allies' games in their back-to-back-to-back HOHs that resulted in Brendan Luan eviction. Insanely bad there when it could have been like Brendan, Rachel, Jeff, something or Jordan, some combination of those 3 and just a complete stranglehold on the game. We'll see if Zach's FUBAR has these long-reaching ramifications for his alliance, but I do feel the game is going to be blown a bit more open now that Zach is gone.
Yeah, I agree. I think that especially, I mean, whoever wins, like we said last week, whoever wins this HOH is very important. Like whoever wins this week is also going to be extremely important because even with Zach being gone, there is still a strong contingency like around the cult of Vince. And we'll talk about Vince as a player here. Like he ends up on the block, at the end of the week. He ends up by the end of this week being relatively safe, probably the safest of the three headed into this eviction. Only receives 2 eviction votes against him. And basically, there is like maybe about half of the house right now still rallied behind his cause. And his cause right now is to target Rachel. And at the very least, those people will target Ashley with Rachel as a pawn or a potential renom scenario. So this kind of side of people that just took this shot across the bow and got Zach out with Ava's HOH is 100% not out of the woods. Like they've kind of evened the score a bit, but like they need to like put their foot in the gas and like keep the pressure on.
Well, let's kind of like talk that through a little bit. Do you think that eliminating Zach was the best thing for that counter alliance, or do you think eliminating Vince would have been better?
I think if they could have eliminated Vince, that would have been better. But I think they quickly realized as the week wore on, and by they, I mean predominantly Rachel, who was the one beating the we have to evict Vince drum the hardest, basically realized they didn't have the votes without Mickey or Morgan being on board, especially Mickey. And as we saw in this eviction episode, we finally kind of are moving away from looking at the game through the lens POV of Mickey, which is what we've been doing for like the last week and a half. And that's kind of why the edit has been a little bit, just as diluted as Mickey's view of the house. We finally got kind of a glimpse into the real Mickey that we've had in feeds for 2 weeks now, which is her kind of being a dictator. And as Ashley and then Will and Rachel have this conversation, Mickey has basically had a 2-week case of HOH-itis that is continuing into next week. She kind of browbeated a bunch of people into voting the way that she wanted. So it almost kind of came down to a situation where she was like the swing vote deciding what was going to happen. Riley and Kat also, to a degree, were a bit of a swing vote. And Riley and Kat have been very anti-Zach and been very close to Vince. Riley has this alliance with Vince and Keanu that's happened since like week 1 or 2, called the Unexpendables, I think. It has not been brought up on the show because it hasn't been mega relevant, but it was relevant in why, Vince got Riley and Kat's votes. And like Julie kind of hints at it in, when Riley's coming up to vote, like, oh, Riley has been closer to Vince than to Zach. And that is true. So I think like in a perfect world, right? If you're Rachel, if you're even like Ashley or Will, Vince would have been better to get out, but they should have the votes.
Yeah. So, I mean, sucks for us as our winner picks are now potentially
the Zach win. Like, I mean, it's still a good outcome.
Right. That's fair. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. And I know there was like some hope that tonight's HOH competition was going to be the wall comp, and we were going to get to watch it. No, seems like it is not. So that's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it got. I mean, it could be disappointing if it is actually the wild comp and they're just not showing it on feeds. That's really bad. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, that's horrible.
But
if that's the case,
if it's just not the wild comp and they're just putting it off the wild comp until next week, I kind of don't mind that, especially because of how important this HOH is for establishing the the structure going forward. And like, is Keanu going to win the wall comp? Maybe, but like he's a big dude. Like, wall comp is kind of tricky for bigger dudes, even if you're very strong. Like, is Rachel going to win the wall comp? Maybe Rachel 15 years ago. Is Rachel now going to win the wall comp? I don't know. Who from that contingency of people who would have an interesting HOH week were realistically going to win the wall comp? It was probably going to be like a Morgan or a Vinny or like a Riley, if we're being honest.
True.
So if we're not going to do the wall comp this week and we're going to do a comp that like maybe a Rachel or a Will or a Keanu could win, I'm perfectly fine with that. We can do the wall comp next week.
Yeah, that's a good point. Would they do the wall comp and OTEV in the same week? Would that?
I don't think. Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, I think it more the fact that they didn't, promote it at the end of the end of the show, and they didn't say, hey, in a few hours the HOH comp will be live on the feeds. They'll be doing the wall. Like, go watch it on the feeds. Buy your feeds here and watch them for free on Pluto TV. I feel like they would have done that if it wasn't the wall, which is kind of what they've historically done.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we get a Rachel one. That'd be the best.
Obviously Rachel is the best outcome, right? Like, I think we all agree. I think, like, if not Rachel, Ashley and Will would be decent outcomes. Keanu could be a fun outcome if, like, Rachel is actually able to, like, keep him under control to a degree. Pretty much anyone else. I'm not really feeling any other outcome besides those four.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, let's take a minute to give Keanu his flowers, right? 4 weeks in a row, winning himself safety. That's impressive. I
mean, 3.5. I mean, I don't know if you fully
okay. All right. Yeah, that's fair. I forgot.
Yeah, I'll give him half credit. He won the power in the HOH comp, and then he surprisingly used it to keep himself safe, which is apparently a difficult thing in this house.
Yeah,
to do.
Get into that a little bit.
Yeah. Apparently, when you're on the block and you're in danger and you have a power that can save you, you're supposed to use that power. And, I've given Keanu a lot of shit about being a bad player, not really understanding how Big Brother works, having a big mouth, being delusional, not understanding the outlook of the game or like where the structure of the house is. Wanting to throw this comp, or at least discussing it with Rachel earlier in the day. But when he was in danger and on the block and he had a power that could save him, he used it. What a concept.
What a concept. So, I was thinking, and maybe you'd know this better as a big Pathfinder player, this kind of a challenge I feel like would be a good D&D puzzle for a group of people to do together. Is that kind of accurate? So I was also thinking
something like that. Yeah, I was thinking something like that as well. And I think Keanu's girlfriend or somebody came out and was like, yeah, he, because what Big Brother has been doing is they've been having Julie on her like private feeds, or like her Instagram or whatever, do a dry run of the Blockbuster competition, and then put it up ahead of time. And I think there was something like his girlfriend or somebody was like, yeah, this is like right up his wheelhouse.
No, he did great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were moments on the other two where I was like, no, that's not
Vinny
right.
was close. Zach was not close at all. I think Vinny at the end was maybe like 3 moves away from getting it.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I have to go back and watch the tape. But
yeah, I was keeping my eye going back and forth because like there was like a point where I was like, man, they're all not great at this. And then I started watching Keanu, like after he took a break for like 5 to 10 seconds and like looked it over. And then after he did that, he was like, oh, I get it. Keanu's got it now. And I looked over at Vince and I was like, oh, Vince is actually really close too. And I was like counting the moves for each of them that were left. And I was like, I'm pretty sure Keanu was like 2 or 3 moves ahead of Vince.
Yeah, no, it was so impressive. And like, obviously Chad isn't here to celebrate it, but we'll see. Now we just need a Keanu HOH to see, really how crazy this could be.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, again, Keanu is a guy who, we compared him to like Devin Shepard, right? Like Devin went out third, and the reason he went out third is because part of it is like, because he had the worst HOH of all time, or like one of the worst in week 2. And Keanu, I guess, hasn't had that yet. But like, it's very impressive that we have a player who is playing so badly and so messily over and over again, but like keeps getting bailed out by comps. It's like possibly like one of the more interesting outcomes from having this blockbuster twist is you have the ability to have a Keanu and a Kelly still in the game headed into week 6 when they are players that likely go out in the first 3 weeks of an average Big Brother season.
Whole new world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when Kelly was casting her vote. I was just like, wow, she's still here. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first week she did not volunteer to go on the block, so she figured it out week 5 that if you don't volunteer to get nominated, you won't get nominated. Or obviously, like she would have been nominated otherwise if she, even if she hadn't volunteered in some cases, but like still,
yeah,
like
she's clearly not a Big Brother fan. Do you think she was like a fan of any reality show? Or do you think she's just straight recruited from social media?
I think probably the latter.
Yeah. She looks like she lives a very interesting life in real life. So I could see like a producer being like, oh, she'd be interesting on the show. I doubt they knew they were going to get such gold.
I mean, is she gold? Because she's not been on the show for like the last 2 weeks. And even on the feeds, she's basically been like borderline invisible.
That's fair. So. More gold than like Lauren.
True. That's true. She yeah, I mean, that's fair. Or even like Riley and Kat, even though the show has like been pumping Riley and Kat super hard. Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see a Kelly HOH. I think a Kelly HOH would be less bad than like a Mickey or a Morgan or even like a Vince HOH, because there's like an outside chance that Keanu could influence her to not do something dumb. But I think it's more likely that Vince influences her to do what he wants. So
yeah, I don't think I've been as unsure about what an HOH would do since like Sam won HOH in BB20, and that was a ride.
Yeah, that was like not a good outcome. In hindsight. So I definitely like when you talk about like devil you know versus devil you don't when it comes to HOH outcomes. Sometimes it's better to just be like devil you don't, and like you can not get your hopes up that something good might happen.
Right. Oh man. Yeah. So I mean, you kind of talked a little bit about it already, but like, did Mickey put herself in a position to where like her game is a little tanked by being such like a, I guess, HOH-itis or however you want to describe it? Because she hasn't been HOH this whole week, but she's still acted the same way.
Yeah, she's acted more like the HOH than Ava has. Ava's spent a lot of the week just kind of like
she was doing some meetings in the HOH room, right?
Yes. Yeah, Mickey did hold meetings in the HOH room. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it continues in the next week. Like, if Rachel wins the HOH, that's not fucking happening. I'm telling you that right now. Mickey's not holding meetings in the HOH row on Rachel's HOH. But yeah, I mean, you saw like I think the show did an okay job of kind of consolidating a lot of the mess that is Mickey into like a segment, which is like her, kind of hinting to Ashley that like, hey, I have my people, and then I'm going to figure what I want to do based off of what my people want to do or what's best for them, and then I'm going to tell you what to do because you're like my little minion, and then you're going to do what I want because that's what's best for my game. And what's best for me is what's best for you. And then Ashley's like, really? I don't know about that.
Yeah, Will certainly wasn't about that at all.
Yeah, it's very odd though, because like they continue to have conversations with Mickey that I'm hopeful are just indications that they're like continuing to like feed into her ego and just like tell her what she wants to hear. Because like we don't really get like a ton of like outside of the DRs that we saw, for instance, in this episode, we don't really get like a ton of evidence outside of that that they're not like totally bought into what Mickey is selling them. Like you can kind of read body language, but even still. But yeah, like obviously like Mickey is the number one target from like a good number of people in the house, Morgan as well. And yeah, it's because they're messy and because they think that they are running the game and they think that they are controlling everyone. And a lot of people don't like that, surprisingly. Riley, I think, is one of the interesting people to potentially talk about with this because Mickey and Riley have had like kind of like this up and down relationship this last week or two. And right now it feels like Mickey does actually have Riley, and with Riley comes Kat. But like that wasn't always the case. Like there were like definitely instances throughout this last week where like Riley was out on Mickey, and now they've made like a potential like truce to jury, and then after that they made like a final 3 deal between Riley, Kat, Mickey. So it's going to be interesting to see if a Riley or Kat HOH happens, how hard that kind of sticks, especially if people run to Riley and feed him information about how like Mickey isn't actually, doesn't actually care about him and is just using him as a pawn. But they are at least targeting Morgan. The problem is that they would put Morgan up with Ashley, Rachel, maybe even Ava. So,
yeah. So artists in the chat said Morgan and Rachel for sure on the house radar. Do you agree? Morgan and Rachel are on the house radar. Yeah.
I think it was Mickey, Morgan, and Rachel. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think those are the 4. But I think those are the 3 most likely people to be evicted next week for sure.
Is there any chance now that Zach is gone, Morgan will be a better player?
No, because so this is kind of one of the things that the show I think is missing, and we kind of see like a smidgen of it when she's casting her vote, right? She eventually, actually does vote to evict Zach here over Vince. Is that like while she is like really obsessed with Zach and like has this huge crush on him and like is super jealous of him with Lauren and him with other women in the house, etc., her game loyalties have always been more to Vinny, and she's like vocalized that. And then Zach like briefly flipped her towards him after the power conversation where he told her that he had the power and he didn't use it to save her, to protect her or whatever. And, he eventually then tells Mickey that he has the power, yada, yada. They have a conversation about how they need to save Zach for that reason. But they eventually come back around to, no, we have to evict Zach and keep Vinny, if that's the 2 that end up on the block. And it comes down to Morgan has always been first and foremost loyal to Vinny. And so as long as Vinny is still in the house, I think Morgan will always be playing his game. It's never really been Morgan playing Zach's game as much as Morgan playing Vinny and also Zach's game.
Fair enough. I think that we had high hopes for Morgan coming into the season
And Mickey.
as a content creator and Mickey. But as a content creator, it's not been great. I feel bad just because I feel like she's gonna be the one most affected by like negative fan, backlash. But I mean, her actions are her own. So like, what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's been, like the Regina George, Gretchen Wiener comparisons between Mickey and Morgan and all that. So, like, it's like, I feel bad if anybody gets like a ton of like harassment after the show, but like, I'm not like gonna be like losing sleep over it. You know what I mean? Because like, I don't like Mickey or Morgan at this point. They're not fun on the feeds. They're like very exhausting on the feeds and infuriating. And like it's just not, it's gotten past the point of being like entertaining for me. And I just kind of like need them out of the house for my own sanity so that I can like, watch the game kind of play in a natural way that doesn't involve like like them just being psychotic all the time. So yeah, I don't know. I hope nobody harasses her, but like,
Yeah.
I also like, don't really, I don't like her. So it is what it is.
Don't harass her, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's disappointing when somebody comes onto the show and you're like, oh, they're gonna be good, and then it's just like
More than how annoying they are in the feeds, and more than their gameplay, and more than them like being hypocrites and bashing Rachel and like all this stuff. The thing that made me the most upset was Mickey and Morgan both, and Morgan especially, constantly lying in the DR. Like we saw so many times over and over again. And
we have to talk about that in depth. What are the lies and like what are the truth?
Sure. Well, so I just want to before we dive into the details, flat out, like if you're lying in the house to manipulate the other players, that's the game. If you're lying in the DR, that is you trying to play the game with me as the audience member. You're basically playing in my face as the viewer, as the omniscient viewer. It's like basically trying to lie to God. You know what I mean? Because we as the viewer see all. We know that you're lying. It's like it's insulting to the intelligence of the viewers to lie in the DR, because you're basically trying to like gaslight us by like saying like, no, the thing that you saw happen live on the feeds is not true. Like, believe this thing that I've made up in the DR to make myself look better. It's just like it's infuriating. But yeah, we can get into the details. Yeah. Well, I mean, Nicole did it to a bit, but like with Nicole, it was more of like, and Morgan does this plenty as well. Like basically throwing a pity party when like things are either not going her way, or like when she does something bad, or like does something unbecoming in the game, and then there's repercussions or ramifications, or like she's worried about her image or whatever, and then throws a pity party. Did it with Rachel multiple times. We actually saw there was a second Morgan and Rachel confrontation in the gym that was not shown on the episodes, where Rachel basically calls her out for doing this, for like basically just making up things to be a victim about. And yeah, that's also very frustrating.
Yeah, I get to watch that one live because you gave me the heads up about the first fight, but I didn't get there in time. But I at least got to watch the second one on the feeds. But yeah, I mean, Rachel's definitely, her patience is worn thin with Morgan. So but what are the specific things that really got in your craw like with Morgan and Mickey this week? Because yesterday you were not happy with
the biggest thing for me, like the thing that set me off, was the DRs during this Morgan and Rachel confrontation in the storage room, which we got on the Wednesday night episode last night, where it's come back to Rachel, and these conversations happened like a week ago at this point, and they kind of were just like sliced together to tell the story of why this confrontation eventually happened. That the discussions around Rachel, primarily from the Morgan, Mickey, Vince, Zach coalition, have been, we are going to take Rachel to jury and then vote her out at jury, an early jury, so that she is a vote for us at the end. This has been conversations that have happened since the very beginning with the original Heavy Hitters Alliance. Like this was like that kind of heavy hitters core that didn't include Rachel, had these kind of talks about Rachel for weeks. And it finally kind of filtered back to Rachel via Ashley in particular. And Rachel is not somebody who's going to be like, hey, there's people in the house saying that they're going to drag you to jury and then just vote you out first so that you can be a vote for them in the finals. That's not that's kind of disrespectful. And, Rachel's not going to stand for it. So she went and she confronted Morgan, and Morgan's basically like, you know, she kind of has like a bit of a Freudian slip during that conversation, and Rachel calls it out, and Morgan is like, "Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. You took that completely wrong," and it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And like the fact that Morgan in the DR is trying to like feed into this narrative that these are not things that she's been saying about Rachel for weeks is ridiculous. And also, on top of that, we have her being like, I wasn't targeting Rachel up until now, but after this, I definitely am. And it's like, no, you were targeting Rachel. Like these conversations were about you targeting Rachel and reasons why she needs to be targeted. Up until even last week into this the beginning of this week, they were talking about how Rachel needs to go next week after Ava's HOH. Even during Mickey's HOH, they were talking about how Rachel needs to go next. You know, they were like Vince and then Rachel. That was the conversation that was happening. This is not new information. This is not like, oh, Rachel confronted me, so now I'm targeting her with some made up thing that didn't happen. No, Rachel was right. Like, you know, you could argue about whether or not confronting Morgan about it was like smart gameplay, but like on the facts portion of things, Rachel is correct in everything she is saying. Morgan is lying both to Rachel and then also to us in the DR. And it's like, why? What is the purpose of this? Like we have the receipts. We have the receipts. We know I've been watching the feeds. You know, you're basically telling me that like the hours and hours I spend watching the fucking feeds don't matter.
Yeah, and that's just like for future Big Brother players. You can't lie to the feedsters. Like even today when Zach was like, there's a lot of stuff that happens between the episodes, like we know.
Yeah, we watch.
Know. Yeah, we watch it. That's the whole reason we love the show, Zach. Because we know what's happening in that house. What was Mickey's big like lie in the DR for you?
I'm trying to remember the exact one that was. The Morgan thing was like so egregious.
How it took over.
All of my like ire for like the 90% of my ire swapped to Morgan just because of that alone. I'm trying to remember what the Mickey one was that like really set me off. I think it was like kind of similarly where Mickey was also talking about having not targeted Rachel up until like now or this week or whatever. And like, while it was the case that like early in her HOH week, when, you know, for instance, Rachel came to her about like, you know, putting up Vince, and then they had the conversation, the Ava conversation, where Rachel was like, you know, saying, hey, put me up and evict me, and they cried together. Like that at that point, Mickey was not like interested in targeting Rachel. But after they blindside Jimmy, put him on the block, and he is a target, and he eventually goes home, from that point on, Rachel does become a target for Mickey. And it's because Rachel is openly campaigning for Jimmy to stay. That was the point where Mickey turned on Rachel. Like that, nothing, this like idea that Rachel being a target happened because of her actions in the Ava HOH week for Mickey is completely false. That was something that Mickey was trying to sell in the DR, was that like Rachel being her target or like an enemy of hers was some new thing that was happening in the last day or so from the perspective of the episode. Not true. Mickey was already turned on Rachel because of the Jimmy move, and because Rachel was against it. Rachel was vocally against it. Rachel was vocally trying to rally votes for Jimmy to stay. That's what turned Mickey on Rachel. And so this is, again, Mickey trying to like warp the reality of the house in a way that doesn't make Rachel losing trust in her fault. And it's like, oh, it wasn't me putting up Jimmy that broke me and Rachel's trust. It was Rachel acting this other way during Ava's HOH week in terms of like, you know, her behavior with Morgan or her targeting these specific people with Ava. Like the framing of how Mickey discusses her actions and the consequences of them in the DR is just completely flawed. I don't know if this is Mickey lying or if this is Mickey being delusional. Like it's like a 50-50 for me. Like, she literally might be so delusional that she doesn't like comprehend that she turned on Rachel first. And so with Morgan, she's 100% lying. Like, there's not even an argument about it. Like, she's like very deliberately lying. With Mickey, the things she's saying are false, but like, I think that there's a chance that she's so delusional that she believes the lie she's saying in the DRs.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see if after the show they own up to it at all, or if they keep,
I doubt it. And they're not doing. It's very rare. It's very rare that people do.
That's true. All right. Well, anything else you wanted to touch on this week that we didn't get to?
We can talk about Ava a little bit. I mean, it's her HOH week. We've barely talked about her.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, she did a little bit disappear into the background after making the nominations, which, when you make a big swing nominations like this, we can cut you a little slack for disappearing after that.
A little, but like not a ton, because like basically the positioning work that Ava should have been doing during this HOH week to set her up for the future is kind of what Mickey has been trying and failing to do. And like, I think if Ava had been doing similar work, and she's done a little bit of it with people like Lauren and Kat, but like, I think she really had to do more. And I think that she's done enough with people like Lauren and Kat to potentially keep her safe. But I think that she did not do enough to keep people like Ashley or Rachel potentially safe, or like to potentially even fold people like a Lauren or a Kat into her kind of fold. And this is, I think, the only real like red mark on her HOH week, because otherwise, like, definitely, like, we're grading on a curve, most successful HOH week of the season by far. Like, obviously, like, it's a very easy, like, bar to clear given the first 4 HOH reigns. Ava just being, mediocre to like slightly above average was like, good enough to look amazing compared to the rest of this cast. But still, I wish she had done more with this HOH week. She had a lot of power here to kind of reshape the game in her image, and she didn't really take advantage of that. And I mean, we kind of see that now with headed into next week. Like I said, like, Ava could have used this to potentially push herself ahead, and like push her group into a position of power. Whereas at the end of the week, now we're basically in a position where it's like kind of just even. Like they went from like being, slightly unfavored to now even, where they could have been now slightly favored.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I was surprised in the episode yesterday. It showed after the veto was played, Ava didn't try cutting a deal, even if she was never going to put Riley up. Mm-hmm. She could have at least been like, hey, listen, you don't have anything to worry about. If you play the veto, I got you. Mm-hmm. I got Riley. Like, let's work together going forward. But she really was like, yeah, whatever you want to do. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, she kind of implied that, I guess, at least. But yeah, she was not like firm enough with the conversation with Kat for sure. And like even future conversation with Kat, or like, again, future conversations she had with Lauren, for instance, it's always very like kind of surface level, like, hey, let's do something, like, I like you, like, I feel like, we get along well, like that sort of thing, as opposed to like, let's make a plan for how we, maneuver the game forward next week if you win HOH, or like, what do we have to do next to move us forward, as an alliance or something like that. Like, there's still a lot to be desired, I think. Yeah. With that being said, I think Ava is still probably the best player in the house.
Oh yeah, all of it being said, with this cast, Ava Kiesling, I guess. I don't know.
No, I mean, look. No. Yeah, Ava's a 5 out of 10 player in a house of 1 out of 10 players. So like, it's really, Yeah.
I mean, the very funny part about that is like each week someone else exposes themselves as worse than you possibly thought.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Zach obviously this week is a prime example. But yeah, I think at this point, right, like who are we looking at that realistically can win the season? It's like Vince, Ava, Riley, Will.
Yeah, Will would be fun. Lexi in the chat hopes that Mickey's going to be on the block this week. I think there's a good chance.
I do think that Rachel could win against Keanu or Kelly in the end, which is I think that what she's trying to set up. I think she sees the path.
Is Kelly the Portia of this season?
I think that she sees the path. I think that like one of the reasons she's trying to pull in Keanu and Kelly is she knows that she can't beat Ava or Will in a final two. And even Ashley, I think, could be close. I think before this week, her thought was like Ashley is the person I may be able to beat in a final two. But I think right now she's pivoting. I do think that Kelly is probably the person that Rachel could beat in a final two. But it's going to be extremely hard for her to get there, given how difficult it will be to really point Kelly in a good direction. Because right now, I think Kelly's planned noms are Morgan, Mickey, Ashley, with Rachel as a renom, or some combination of that four. And while you're like, oh, good, Morgan and Mickey on the block potentially, they would probably have the votes to stay unless it was them two at the end of the week. If if it was Morgan, Mickey, Ashley, noms didn't change with veto, Ashley won Blockbuster, brilliant week from Kelly. Probably the second best HOH after Ava at that point, and Rachel is in a phenomenal position at that point. But that's like an extremely hard needle to thread. But I think there is a path there. Like up until this week, I was really worried about. Rachel is my winner pick, right? I picked Rachel in the preseason when we made our winner pick, and I am still hopeful that she can pull this off. But she's in a lot of danger this week, and I think about half of the outcomes for HOH. And even if she gets through this week, if she wins HOH, if Will wins HOH, if even Keanu wins HOH, if Ashley, maybe Kelly wins HOH, and she's able to get through this week and have a good outcome, if a Mickey or a Morgan goes, then yes, I am fully on board a potential Rachel Riley run for this thing. But that's it's still I'd say two things have to go well this week for her to get into that position. She has to get a good HOH outcome, and she has to really, really actually lock down Kelly and sever her tie to Vince, either by voting Vince out somehow, which is I think unlikely, or by fully, because the Kelly Vince tie right now is weak. It's weak, but it's still a little bit there. And you can tell it's a little bit there because she's still putting up people like Rachel and Ashley, even though they're trying to work with her. So she needs to get Kelly fully on board with her. And if she can do that, and get a good HOH outcome, and one of Mickey or Morgan leaves next week, 100% Rachel can win this season. But still, that's a lot of ifs, though. It's a lot of ifs.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, anything else that you want to touch on, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the chat. I'm so surprised the house kept Vinny. I mean, this is the thing with Vinny, right? Vinny is very, very, very good at getting people to do what he wants, especially when he's talking to them in one-on-one conversations. It's very difficult to really grasp from out here because from out here, it's you don't really see Vinny's charisma or whatever you want to call it. But he kind of has a lot of these sociology 101 techniques down, where he does this mirroring technique. He's able to be a good active listener with people. He tells people what they want to hear. He does play the pity card a lot, which while it doesn't work with people like Rachel and Will, it does work with a lot of the other house guests. So Vince does have really good one-on-one relationships with people like Riley, obviously Morgan and Mickey. He had one with Zach, obviously Kelly for a long time. Like, he does have a Lauren, obviously, as well. Like, he has like let's list it up, like 5 really strong one-on-one relationship connections. And as we saw, like, I'm not calling him Tyler, right? Like, I think that's an extreme insult to Tyler. And I'm not even like a big Tyler Crispin guy. But like, as we saw with Tyler and BB20, having a lot of like really kind of strong one-on-one connections with people that otherwise have very little going on in the game, people like Riley, people like Lauren, people like Kelly, it's extremely powerful, because in the event of these like bad coin flip HOHs happening, you are more likely to be safe than your allies. And that's why I'm saying the more likely people to get evicted next week are Morgan and Mickey, and not Vince. Vince is safe next week, in my opinion, in most outcomes. Like, I think the only outcome where Vince is realistically not safe is if Rachel wins the HOH. Rachel's the only one who's really pounding the drum of, hey, Vince is a dangerous player. He needs to go out. And she's right. Vince is a considerably more dangerous player than Morgan or Mickey. But Morgan and Mickey are so loud and so messy and so like annoying to a lot of the other players that they are the focus. And that's why Vince is so good. He's able to hide.
Yeah, you walk in that Big Brother house, you see someone with a beanie on, you're going to get emotionally manipulated. Just know that.
Yeah.
Be aware. Heads on a swivel to all future Big Brother players.
He cries as much as Vanessa does too.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Yeah. Maybe more. And you know what? I respect it.
No, look,
like
I said, I don't like Morgan and Mickey at this point. I don't dislike Vince. Vince is quite annoying a lot of the time, but like, I almost have to respect how much of like a weasel he is.
Yeah, right.
He's just like so like flagrantly self-interested and so slimy, and like he does kind of own it a little bit. Like he takes slight jabs at himself. Like even in the conversation with Ava, where he's like, I don't want people to think that I'm a weasel. And it's like, well, I mean, you are, but like, so you have the Vinny the Lip.
I don't want people to think that.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think that Vince is more self-aware than a Morgan or a Mickey, which is why he's able to kind of play his position better. And so I kind of like watching Vince sometimes play the game, just because he is so shameless. He is so like slimy and self-interested, and he is such like a flagrant weasel. And that is sometimes fun. It is sometimes annoying, but it is sometimes fun. And that's more than I can say for Mickey and Morgan, where it's like almost never fun.
Yeah. Listen, Vince, I know you're unemployed. Sales, you would kill it. You would screw people over, and you wouldn't be like the most popular sales rep for the admin team.
Used car salesman.
But yeah, used car salesman.
Yeah.
You would crush it.
Yeah.
As long as you bring the same self-interested motivation to that.
He sits down with the person. Listen, I know this is your car. I can see you driving this car. I've been sitting in this lot for 10 years waiting to settle this car. And it really would mean a lot to me if I could sell this car to you today. You know, I could see you driving home in this car right now. I'm so emotional about this car, man. You really need this car. I'm telling you.
I'm picturing this still in the egg costume.
The egg costume, like, low-key, the egg costume was phenomenal for Vince this week. Because, like, if you're Rachel and you're like beating the drum, hey, Vince is this dangerous player. He's gonna destroy us all. He's playing everyone. He's such a slime ball. And then he's just like in the corner going like this with his head in the egg costume. You're like, oh, look at this guy.
Here goes fucking
you can't take him seriously as a
down
player.
the stairs. Yeah,
you can't take him seriously as a threatening player when he's in that costume.
No. Definitely not. Definitely not. It is one of my all-time favorite costumes.
Really good costume.
Loved it.
Yeah, no. Say what you want about the season so far, or even like some of the production decisions, but the aesthetics for the season have been great. Like they've nailed the aesthetics for the season, both with the house, with some of the comp design, with these costumes, both Vince's and Keanu's costumes, really great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I no complaints from that perspective.
Yeah, no, definitely not. All right, Ben, anything you want to promote before we get on out of here?
No, go Rachel. Hopefully she wins the HOH. 50-50 on whether I'll stay up to find out. Because like when I do, I usually like see the HOH result and I look at my phone and it's 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, I need to go to bed. And then I fall asleep and I don't even get to watch any of the conversations and I have to fill myself in them anyways the next day. So we'll see.
Yeah. Shout out Lexi Joy for hanging out in the live chat. We really appreciate it. For anyone watching this on the VOD or on the Have Not Room channel or listening on podcast services, you too can be in the live chat as we go live now after every episode on Thursday after the eviction. Follow us on TikTok as well at the Have Not Room on there, giving kind of like takes throughout the week as well as clips from the podcast. But there's original stuff there too. Main channel is, of course, Wicked Get Everything. Just put a video up there about the Battlefield 6 beta. Tomorrow morning on Wicked Scary, have a video coming out about the Bridgewater Triangle, which is like the Bermuda Triangle, but in Massachusetts. You want to check that out and check out all of our other channels, including Those Fake Nerds, Wicked Sports, and Better Radio, which is our podcasting channel. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.